Hi, this is Mika and Dan from Joy to the Food, and you're listening to the Eat Blog Talk podcast.
Hey, awesome food bloggers. Before we dig into this episode, I have a really quick favor to ask you. Go to your favorite podcast player, go to Eat Blog Talk, scroll down to the bottom where you see the ratings and review section. Leave Eat Blog Talk a 5-star rating if you love this podcast and leave a great review. This will only benefit this podcast. It adds value. And I so very much appreciate your efforts with this. Thank you so much for doing this. Okay, now on to the episode. Hello, food bloggers. Welcome to Eat Blog Talk, the podcast for food bloggers looking for the value and confidence that will move the needle forward in your business. This episode is sponsored by Rank IQ. I am your host, Megan Porta, and you are listening to episode number 284. Today, Mika and Dan are joining me, and they are going to talk to us about working with your partner in business. Mika and Dan have been running Joy to the Food for nearly a year now. Both work full-time jobs and do everything together for Joy to the Food in their off hours. Throughout the process of building this brand together, they have learned a lot about each other and the best way to work with a partner. They share what they have learned, such as the best way to express ideas, accept critique, and push each other. Dan does the numbers and styling, and Mika creates the content and handles communication. Hey guys, Mika and Dan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, yeah, we're super stoked to be here.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, and I'm so glad. I love it when we talk about partners in business and both partners are here. It just makes it more well-rounded. So I'm really glad that you both are here today. We want to know, are you going to do a collective fun fact, individual fun facts? What do you have for us?
We've decided to do a collective fun fact. And so our fun fact is that we have two crazy wild dogs, and they're both named Nala.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That has to get a little confusing, or not?
It does. It does at times. It's not as confusing as you might think. They're total opposites, and one is just this energetic lab, while the other is a husky. And if anyone has a husky, they might know she's not very responsive to her name. So she kind of does her own thing. She's very independent. So, when they're out playing in the yard and we call Nala to come,
the lab
just bolts toward us, and the husky is, he doesn't barely even bats an eye.
She's in her own world. Yeah.
So why is that? Why do huskies not come when they're called?
We've been told that they're just stubborn, more so. I mean, they don't have that desire to please like a lab does. So they hear you, but they don't want to do it. Yeah,
oh my gosh, I love that. That's so fun. We have a lab. He's just turned 6, and he is the best dog ever. I just love our lab. I cannot imagine having any other breed of dog, but I'm sure you fall in love with every breed, right?
Yes, they're fantastic.
Oh, they are. Thanks for sharing that, guys. Let's just start talking about this because I love this topic. My husband is going to, I have been saying this for years, my husband's going to be working with me soon, but for real, like 2022 is our year. It's actually going to happen. So we like to learn as much as we can about this topic. So I'm here to learn from you guys today. So would you guys just mind telling us your story? I know you've been together for almost 4 years and you guys seem like you're pretty adventurous. So how did you kind of come together in this decision to grow a business and grow a brand together?
Yeah, so that's super exciting, Megan, to bring somebody else on. That's a big step. But yeah, so we've been together for 4 years. We're in the midst of planning our wedding. But I'm from California. And so once a year or more, we drive out because that's the only way you can take your dogs. And every time we do, we're reminded of how restless we get. So we've quit our jobs twice and traveled for a month after each time because we're a bit of nomads and you just can't, we're kind of tumbleweeds, I guess. But so when we travel, we're like, wow, this is just so great. And every time we do, I seek out, I have a bucket list of places I want to eat at because I'm a foodie. I mean, like anybody in the food space is. So on this trip, we were like, man, how can we create this flexible lifestyle in a side hustle, because we both work as engineers full time. So it has to be something that's not full time at the moment. And Dan was like, well, you like cooking. I was like, yeah, but I hate websites. Like, I had tried that before. I have no desire to try and do it again. And he was like, well, I'll do that if you do the cooking. And so we just agreed on that road trip, and 72 hours in the car together, we come up with a lot of ideas and a lot of plans, and we just took off running, really.
Oh, I love that. So from your perspective, Dan, is that kind of how you saw it coming together too? You just both felt the need to create this life where you have schedule freedom, and you guys have been on the same page with all of it all along?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've always had the desire to build something of my own or our own, like build a business. So yeah, it was really exciting for me, and I like numbers and technical stuff, and so the website, making that, is exciting for me, not exciting for Mika. She likes, the food part of it. So yeah, it was just a good combination, and yeah, we're both excited at what we're doing.
Yeah, we're both kind of the people that we take on random hobbies all the time but never finish them. And so being a blogger kind of takes that and amplifies it, because you have to know a little bit about a lot of things. So it was just a really natural transition. For Dan already had a camera, he had practiced photography. It was a good switch or start.
Yeah, and you guys seem to complement each other really well. I love that you have characteristics that complement the others, and you can kind of fill those gaps where needed. So what are some things you guys have learned? Because like I said, I'm here to learn from you. Please enlighten me. I have no idea how to go about this. So what are some things that you have done, like maybe as far as processes or strategies that you've put together that have helped you dig into this?
Yeah, so we've tried a lot of things. So we've tried Airtable, we've tried Planoly, we've tried Leader, all sorts of things for a variety of tasks, but we keep coming back to Google. Right now we transitioned from personal Google to Google Workspace. And the reason that we like that is we have a massive template within Google or spreadsheet that has all of our recipe posts and the tasks associated with them, where they're at, things like that. And you have the collaboration aspect. So just like any Google product, you can share it with a collaborator and they can hop in whenever, which is really key for our situation, because we do work full-time jobs that are very demanding. Whenever we have a free minute, somebody else needs to be able to jump in and say, oh, okay, this recipe has been drafted, but I still need to run it through SEO and make sure everything's okay. So I can just jump in and get going right away without having to do much communication with the other person, which is extra helpful if you don't live in the same house. Obviously, we're lucky in that regard. But yeah, Google Docs, and we just started using Google Keep, which, Dan, you want to go over that?
Yeah, we love Google Keep. We were looking for a good application to take notes and create lists for, and we landed on Google Keep because you can collaborate with another person on it. It's available on your desktop or mobile. We usually use it on mobile. And so we use it to make lists. Like if we have a running recipe list. So if I think of an idea for a recipe we might want to pursue, then I can add it to our running list in Google Keep. I also really like it for our grocery list. So, if I use the last egg, I just add egg to our grocery list, and whoever goes to the grocery store next, they see that on the list. Mm-hmm. And it's just got all these different features about it. Like you can add photos to your lists. Yeah. So like I was at the grocery store a few weeks ago, and Mika had put cream of tartar on. Cream of tartar. Whatever. She put that on the grocery list, and I was like looking in the soup section, like I was thinking of cream of mushroom soup, and was super confused. And so she could have added a photo of cream of tartar to the list, but so it's just a really handy.
Yeah, and we're starting to practice or test it out for using it for like photo research. So how we want our photo to look. So I typically use Pinterest and like a hidden board to get some inspiration, and Dan uses Google, so we can both just screenshot it and pull it right into a Google Keep. Well,
I learned something today. I didn't know what Google Keep was. I didn't know it was a thing, but I just looked it up. It looks really handy. So you can do like reminders, like I'm assuming sync to your Google Calendar.
Yep.
And label, and wow. Okay, cool. I will check that out. So that's how you stay in communication with each other, is through Google. It is so easy, isn't it? Like you can do anything, I feel like, with the Google Workspace, and like the sheets and the docs and like everything you can imagine is right inside of there, and it's all free. So why not test that out? What do you guys feel like are some benefits of working together? So having a partner keep you on track, things like that. What are some good things that come from this?
Yeah. So, as Dan has alluded to, I am definitely more on the creative side. So I have 1,000,010 ideas, and I have a very hard time staying on track. Whereas Dan is much better about saying, okay, we have this idea. These are the steps we have to do. Because like with Google Docs, we have a step overall process or Word doc that states, with the recipe, we need to 1, research it, 2, find a name, 3, test it, draft it, blah, blah, blah. So Dan is really good at that, and he's very good with numbers. And he's the reason that this is becoming a business, because he is very good at looking at the analytics of SEO. I think that's where the engineering comes out, is he always looks at it. He's like, okay, these are trending up, so we need to hop on this. And then I go to Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I see, what is it trending there as well? Like, is this something we can utilize or capitalize on?
So do you ever find, Mika, that you're like, do you feel like you would get off track if it weren't for him? Like stop blogging altogether? Does he keep you going in the whole grand scheme of keeping up your food blog?
Yes, because he puts it onto the website. And, he does. Yeah. So, I think on one of your podcasts, we were listening and learned about Rank IQ, and we jumped into that. And Dan has discovered that by using key search and Rank IQ, we can have rank faster, which is especially important for somebody with a lower domain authority like us, because we've only had the website for a year. So we've been able to rank way faster by using that combo of things. And basically when Dan started looking at it in like November, it was like a flip switched, and we, tripled our traffic, which isn't saying much, but when you go from looking and you're like, oh my God, 10 people are on the site. And then you're like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I think he definitely has kept me on track, and otherwise it would just be a hobby. It wouldn't be a business. But Dan really is very much of the mindset, like, treat it like a business from day one. And that's how we're going to get there faster. So
I just looked at your about page. You guys are so cute. I love your picture of jumping in the ocean. That just captures, I feel like, what you guys represent, just like the life of adventure and freedom. And this is why you're doing this. I think that is the perfect photo to have there. But yeah, I love your site. Your photos are beautiful, and it's so just clean. Not that you asked me for my opinion, but
no, it's been a lot of work. We went from, one of the ways that we've learned to work together is I'm pretty savvy with Canva. And so I put together like what I wanted the website to look like. And I basically handed it to Dan and said, can you do this?
So, a lot of YouTube videos later, we got there.
Yeah. It's always a work in progress. But,
absolutely. Yeah. So how do you guys take criticism? Because I can see this being an issue with me and my husband, because I'm so immersed in my business. I've been doing this for 11 years and it's like my baby. So if he comes, or I'm going to rephrase that, when he comes in, I can just see myself being like, no, this is how it is done, So I need you guys to help me with this. How do you deal with all of that?
That's a good question. Yeah, I take criticism very hard. and get very defensive. So I think Dan has learned to, sometimes he tiptoes, and then, if he tiptoes, then I get mad because I'm like, why didn't you tell me? So he's definitely adapted. He's very good at adapting, and he's learned to say things like, why don't we try this too? And then once we get, say, the shot, then once I see it and I'm like, oh, shoot, his was better. He was right. So then I come to realize that, and I'm very aware that I don't take it well. So I do try and calm down. So sometimes if he's like, you seem upset, I'm like, yes, and I'm going to stay upset because I just am right now. So, just like vocalizing, like, this is why I am upset, or this is why I'm upset because I don't know. It really seems to help learn to give criticism and take it, and give constructive criticism in a way that is not destructive.
Awareness, I feel like you're very aware. Yeah. So I think that is huge, because a lot of people just aren't aware that they can't take criticism. So I think that's big. You guys have big things ahead of you. Lots of growth, I think, because of that. And then Dan, I have to give you a virtual high five for just saying, like, why don't we try this too? That is brilliant, because then nobody's discounting anything. You just do both things and see what works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're both very non-confrontational.
Very Midwest.
I don't want to get in a spat with her at all. So yeah, my whole life I've always been very choosy in my words, not to make anyone upset.
I'll have to come to you when my husband is on board and be like, now what should I say? You can coach me. Yeah. You can be my word coach. Hi, food bloggers. I'm taking a pause here on the episode really quick to tell you about the spring retreat that we are planning through Eat Blog Talk. This retreat is focused on you, food bloggers who want to come together and collaborate and learn from one another and grow in ways that you cannot even imagine. The retreat is taking place on May 19th through the 22nd, 2022, here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We will be spending 3 nights together, 2 intensive days learning and growing in a beautiful rental property in Minneapolis. There are a few spots left for this retreat, so if you're interested, go to eatblogtalk.com/spring 2022 retreat. You will find all the information there that you need. You can join the wait list and see how it will benefit your business. I hope you decide to join us. It's going to be really powerful and awesome. Okay, back to the episode. So if you do have, I don't want to say a spat, but if you have a disagreement about something, how do you deal with that frustration? If you're like, no, this is how it's done, and the other is like, no, this is how this worked better. How do you sort through that?
I would say typically we have to bring it back to why we're doing it. And I always tell people this food can sense fear and anger. Like if you're in a upset mind state or angered mindset, our photos are not good. It's just a matter of fact. And when we're on our game and we're working together really well, they're fantastic. And so we always are like, okay, we're both upset right now and we are not feeling it. Like, should we continue with this shoot, or should we come back to it when we're in better headspace? And sometimes we don't come back to it, and sometimes we work through it. So I would say just remembering why you're doing this. And then, it's in our name. We always have some sort of comedic relief, whether it's the dogs, bullying into each other or trying to take the strawberries off the table or whatever. So, that really helps. And we always try and have some sort of laughs about whatever it was.
Oh, I love that. What do you say, Dan? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, like Micah said, the comedic relief is always nice. Like, if we're starting to get frustrated, I like to just play a fun song or...
Yeah, we play, what's the song that you play? I Don't Want to Work Today. So we start playing one of our songs, or he plays Sum 41 for me.
Oh, I love that. Just a little, what is that called? Not distraction, but there's a term for
Redirect?
that.
Redirect.
Redirect. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Like redirecting emotion or something. Mm-hmm. We've been trying that in our house lately. And do you know what works for us? Have you guys ever seen the Liver King? He's on Instagram, this huge Instagram account. He's like this guy that eats liver and like that is what we use for like, I'm trying to think, what is that word or the phrase? But just like making light of things. Like if something's heavy anywhere in our family, like one of our boys, my husband pulls out the Liver King and starts playing it and immediately we're like laughing. So you need that something, whatever, like you guys have your songs and pulling out music. I think that's really smart. I was going to ask you, what do you have for me? Like what would be a first step for us? I kind of know where my husband would fit in. Like we have a few ideas, but we're not sure. We know it's going to happen. We're both anticipating it and we're both a little bit nervous because we're so used to doing our own thing. He's used to going to an office every day. I'm used to just like running my business by myself. So what advice do you have for me?
Yeah, I would say play on his strengths. I think that's what we have done. We've found, what pieces of the process each of us are best at and really run with that. So find his strengths and
like as far as logistically bringing somebody on, like we always, if we put a new process in place or decide to change up how the recipes will go on the site or their layout, we always have a document that says exactly what those steps are or how that layout looks. So having a set file structure in place for him to hop in and say, okay, I need to go get an unedited photo. This is where I'm going to go because this is where I go every time, which I'm sure after 11 years, you have plenty of file structure. But just having that and then having the documentation to find it. So like if you were at the store, he wouldn't have to be like, I'm trying to work on this thing and blah, 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 which has happened to us. So we've learned to have a working document that says like, this is where we go to do this and this is where we go to do this. And we need to get XYZ done before this post goes live.
Yeah, that's really smart. The documentation piece I hadn't really thought of. So I'm going to give you an example of something that may or may not happen occasionally and tell me what you think. So I'm trying to get him just sprinkled into the business. So I will give him, something like, hey, do you want to help me with this? And he will like look at it and his perspective on it is so different from mine that I get really frustrated. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, he's like, no, well, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, no, like we just don't see the same on some things. And it's so hard for me. So what is your advice for me there?
Yeah, so we have a similar issue with like Dan, because he's good at numbers, the way he sees it is, pursuing like cheesy things and things that meat and potatoes. Whereas being from the West, I'm like, no, I want to stay true to what I love and what I want to do. And when we look at the numbers, that's where I'm able to see like, oh, now I understand where he's coming from because he has data to back it up, which is annoying sometimes. But I would say like in that situation, utilizing his different perspective, because if he sees it one way, that means that there is a percentage of the world who probably sees it that way. So taking that into account, like, I don't know what exactly it might be, but maybe, he reads a recipe and like, oh, so we had this the other day where Dan was reading a recipe that I had written and what was it? Like,
I didn't understand something that she had written in one of the steps.
Oh, to chill cookie dough. And I said, there's no need to chill the cookie dough. And Dan was like, why would you chill it? You don't chill cookie dough. And I was like, no, but sometimes you do chill cookie dough. So like those sort of things we definitely see differently. And he was just like, nobody would understand this. Like, I don't know what this is for. And so then I had to show him like a recipe that does chill it and, just working through it and vocalizing why do they see it this way.
Right. And trying not to get defensive. I think that's where I have a problem because like I said, it's like, I've been doing this for so long. So why would you come in and recommend something different? But I need to step back and just realize that he obviously has a different perspective and I need to be gentle and not get super wound up about it.
Yep. Yeah, I would say it's hard and always evolving.
Yeah. Yep. So you guys work full time, right? In addition to running your blog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're both civil engineers, and I work in construction, and Dan used to, but now he works in design. So
how do you manage all of that? And then do you feel like having that full-time job makes you be super efficient and streamlined with your blog?
Yeah, I would say it definitely forces us to. We're still not by any means as streamlined as we should be or as efficient. But yeah, I mean, like in the summer, for example, I work 60 to 70 hours a week, and it's very hard to spend the energy and the time outside of that to work on it if I have to think about what do I have to do? Like, I don't remember what I did last. It adds an extra step. So by having our processes in place where Dan's already updated the doc, like the recipe's ready to go, all you have to do is make a graphic and make the video, really helps us. So yeah, I would say it definitely helps us streamline it.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Dan? Do you think it helps you guys?
Definitely, yeah. In order to meet our goals that we want to meet, we have really had to be more efficient with our process, and I think we've got a good process now to meet the goals we want to meet in terms of content that we want to post and all that. So yeah, I think we're in a pretty good place.
Yeah, and we've learned to listen to podcasts 24/7 because that's how we learn everything.
Yeah, free content, right? Free value. Why not? It's a no-brainer. I feel like people like you guys who are just so amazing. I seriously just respect you guys because you work full-time and you run a blogging business. I think you guys are the best because you have to do it all, and you're also the most efficient. And I talk to a lot of bloggers, and a lot of the ones in your boat who both work, they're the ones who have all of these like great tips and ideas and strategies and processes, and they're maybe not perfect, but they're, more streamlined maybe than people like me who, I don't have to be as efficient as you guys do. So I feel like we have so much to learn from you. Is there anything we're missing? Do you have any last tips or strategies or anything that someone listening wanting to dive into working with a partner needs to hear?
Well, first off, thank you so much. Like, we feel like we're just lucky because we have two of us, so we don't have to bring somebody on. But I would say, set a process in place. It might take more time up front, but think about it and write it out. It'll save you so much time in the end, and then you can dive into things like batch contenting and planning, XYZ ahead. So just spending the extra upfront time is worth everything, in my opinion.
What about you, Dan? Do you have a final takeaway or tip for us?
Yeah, I'd say know yourself and your insecurities. When someone makes a suggestion, if you get defensive about it, know yourself and keep it light. Have fun. I mean, we
always have fun.
Have a great relationship, and we have a lot of fun outside of Joy to the Food, and we have a lot of fun working on Joy to the Food. So
I will say, when you do this full time and you work full time and you do this, it's very hard to go have a dinner date and not talk about work all the time. And like, as long as you're both very passionate about it, like, we don't have an issue with it, but it is something to think about that is going to be your life, and it will be all consuming.
And almost to like intentionally schedule that time where you're not allowed to talk about anything work related. You know, I can see that being an issue too. It's like when you have kids and you go on a date and all you do is talk about your kids, and you're like, wait a second, that's all we do is talk about our kids.
I know. Yeah.
So we had to make that rule, like no kid talk if we're on a date. So I can see that kind of bleeding over too. And my takeaway from your chat, one of them is just to find that thing that you laugh about, that you can, just laugh about together, that can distract you when things get hard, because I imagine it's not always going to be easy, right? I mean, I'm anticipating that. So I need to put a few things in my back pocket that I know will make us laugh together because we're going to need it.
So you've got the liver man.
Yeah.
Yes, we have the Liver King. Thank you, Liver King. You guys should look him up. It's really, really kind of bizarre. It's like a...
But yeah, we'll look him
Oh,
up.
really? Yeah.
We'll look him up
Yeah, he's intense. He's got like these abs that almost poke you in the eye. They're huge and bulging, and he never has a shirt on. And he's got this big beard and hair. It's like, whoa. And I did not anticipate the Liver King would make play a role in our talk today, but there you go. I was going to ask, because you guys are adventurers, what is your favorite place to visit?
Oh, man.
We spent a month in Southeast Asia
That
a
was
couple
awesome.
years ago.
Yeah.
That was, the best trip we've ever done, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we have our favorite spot in the U.S. is like Santa Barbara area of California.
Okay.
We lived there for a year, and that's where we're getting married. So it's kind of our spot. But adventure-wise, like, Southeast Asia, go back in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's awesome. Has it been hard to travel outside of the country in the past few years for you guys?
Yeah, we haven't at all. Especially when you have dogs or kids or whatever, it just adds a layer. So, but we did a month-long trip in the Southwest. So we found ways.
Yeah, you make it happen when you have that adventurous spirit. You just do it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, thank you guys, Mika and Dan. This was so fun, and I will be listening to this episode with my husband, so we appreciate you and everything you've been willing to share today. Do you guys have a final quote or words of inspiration to share with us?
Yes, we do. It is, I guess our final quote is, "A day without laughter is a day wasted."
Yeah.
Is that perfect? Oh my goodness. That was so perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we have fun. So.
We tried.
Oh, so cool. Well, we will put together a show notes page for you guys. So if anyone wants to go look at those, you can head over to eatblogtalk.com/joy to the food. And why don't you just tell everyone where they can find you, your website, social media, and anywhere else you want to mention?
Yeah, so you can find us on joytothefood.com. You can also find us on Instagram at joytothefood and Facebook at joytothefood and Pinterest at joytothefood. And we do have a blog post that is about working with your better half that has some links and tips. So you can find that on our website, and maybe we can include that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah,
it was such a pleasure. And thank you for listening today, food bloggers. I will see you in the next episode.
We're glad you could join us on this episode of Eat Blog Talk. For more resources based on today's discussion, as well as show notes and an opportunity to be on a future episode of the show, be sure to head to eatblogtalk.com. If you feel that hunger for information, we'll be here to feed you on Eat Blog Talk.